So
Hello.
today's Butter Chat's question of the day, is going to be about the customer journey. So the question being, what is the customer journey and how does it affect your website? And this was brought up in a chat with a potential client earlier in the week, and she mentioned that she wasn't sure exactly what a customer journey was, and she thought
Mm.
it was in reference to, well, it's they come into my shop and then they meet me and then they buy something and then they leave, and trying to then translate that into an
Mm.
online version. So I thought that if she's asked it, there's probably others out there with a similar question.
Definitely. And just to be clear, that is a customer journey. It's just not an online customer journey.
So
Yeah.
what's
So,
the difference?
yeah, what is the difference? Well, yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, if you try and translate the that physical thing journey that the customer does, they have to find where your shop is, they have to walk in, they have to browse around, they have to choose the thing they like, they have to suss out whether they can get it home. Do they need extra plastic bags? Do they need something else that goes with it? Do they need it delivered? All these things that you do when you go into a physical shop to buy something, or even a service. If you go into a lawyer's office or whatever, you still go through a lot of these processes, and I think a lot of them they have a sort of digital equivalent, don't they? That's the thing. So the first real area to look at is awareness. So that's how do they become aware of you, that you even exist. So what would you say, like in the physical world, what would that look like?
I guess it could be walking by a shop.
Yeah,
It could be seeing an advert on the television.
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess video. Or maybe the bus stops. They have the big signs, or the
Oh, yeah,
billboards
yeah,
and things.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sometimes you get PR, you get flyers telling you to go and get, a 2 for 1 sort of offer, or
Yeah.
your pal tells you, oh, you've got to
The
chat.
best advertising, isn't it? When some
Absolutely. Yep, yep. That's the best. Because if your pal tells you it's good, you're going to believe that, aren't you? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
instead
So
of a
in this,
uh,
sorry.
instead of a flyer, I've seen on this image here we've got direct mail, and so many of us now get the thing through the door and just bin that, don't we?
Yeah, it feeds the recycling monster, doesn't it? Hopefully they're recyclable anyway. Um, yeah. So I suppose the digital equivalent of these is that there is some kind of uh, online getting in front of people is the thing. So whether it's an advert that flashes up on one of the social media platforms, or whether it's what comes up when somebody searches for the item that they're actually looking for, the item or the service that they're looking for. So if you're searching for shoes in you know Glasgow or whatever, then you want your shoe shop to come up and be seen, so that at least people are aware you exist, and even if they don't immediately rush out, or rush to your site and buy something, it's the beginning of awareness. They've seen you in the search. They may come back to you. It may interact with something else. Maybe a friend has been to that site, been to your site, and again, that will build on these things. Paid content could be lots of things. It could be adverts. That's absolutely right. And my mind has just gone blank for other types of paid content. I suppose.
It's quite connected though, is it? So if you think of how many times have you sat down and you've been talking about something and then you click on to say Facebook and there's that thing you've been talking about. It's like it knows, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little creepy, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
when you do it by search, it's done on purpose, right? So you
yeah,
can
yeah.
put a little pixel on. So if you someone's been searching on Google for uh,
Exactly.
green trousers, they, for
Yeah,
example, it's a wee pixel to that goes through to Facebook to tell them they're looking for this, advertise it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the other, just consider the other thing about paid content is that it could be a advert article type thing. So you might have seen some of these like sponsored articles and things like that, where you're getting some value given to you as a consumer, but really it's from the viewpoint of the website or the service or the product that the person is trying to sell you. So you can get information from that, but at the end of the day, they have a particular viewpoint. Yeah, and you know, emails, you can sometimes sign up for something and you'll see banners in the emails trying to sell you something else. Click here for £20. You know, you sign up for, I don't know, you sign up for a shoe shop to receive their sale stuff, and you get a handbag banner because they've done a deal together or something like that. So that's another way you can get in front of people and raise awareness. And I think that then starts to kind of move you into the consideration sort of phase. If you, as a consumer, you start thinking, oh, I wonder if I could buy from these people, or I wonder if I could have that new handbag. Or
they do say, and I don't know if it's 100% true because I've heard it through the grapevine, but they do say that it takes 7 times of hearing a brand name for it to stick with you.
Yeah, I think that the number of times it seems to change depending on who you speak to.
Hang on. Butter toast, butter toast, butter toast, butter
yeah, butter toast, yeah. I would highly recommend that you keep saying butter toast, and yeah, they're butter toast are great, aren't they? Yeah,
they're so good.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've done that. Everybody will be flocking to us now. Yeah, anyway, yes, that's right. So however, yeah, one of the things that will make you want to consider somebody is you actually, just because online you can't walk in and get, you know, when we meet people, we get that feeling, you know, we get a sense, do we trust you? Do we not? Do we think that your shoes are going to fall apart a week after I've done them? And you get a vibe if you walk into a shop, don't you, about what it's about? But you can't, there are some things that would flag up to you in online, but I think that all things being equal, if you have two shops that look very similar, how do you know which one to trust the most? And I think that's where things like your social proof comes in, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Just your getting reviews. So I think, you know, I mean, we bang on about reviews a lot, but to our clients, but I think they're so important, because if other people say you're okay, then they are more likely to believe that you're actually okay. And you know, if you've got two shops or two services the same, and one has 100 positive reviews and the other has 3, who are you going to go with?
Absolutely.
It's a no-brainer.
Totally. And I think that having the video reviews is great as well, because sometimes there's a little bit of doubt when all the reviews look quite similar and you're like, well, are they just made up? Are they real? Because there's not, I guess, a definite proof of that. But if you get a video, you can see the person actually saying, no, that company is great.
Yeah. And I'm just going to have a little rant right now. Fake reviews drive me insane. They absolutely, and you know where you'll see a lot of them? Audible.co.uk have lots of them on their crappy books. So if you're going to Audible, make sure you check out that the reviews are real. And this goes across the board. Here are some tips for checking that reviews are real. Look at all the reviews. Yeah. Did they all happen on the same day, or even within a few hours of each other? So if we've got 100, and that's another one. Is it a round number? So if they've got exactly 100 reviews or exactly 50 reviews, I'd be thinking, that's interesting. When were they all done? And if they're done all on the same day or within a very short space of time, and there's been nothing since, I would be highly suspicious. And the other things like most of them are broken English, and they all use very similar phrasing, like this this book changed my life, or something like that. Really interesting content, or, you know, so that kind of phraseology. So really look out, if you're a consumer, look out for those things. And if you're trying to get reviews, don't buy them.
No.
Don't buy them.
Trustpilot's a great website. Because it's a little bit, you do have to kind of a little bit prove who you are before you review there. I know it's that you can still do it, but it's a lot. It does feel more secure to review through them. So I always have a look and see if they've got reviews on Trustpilot as well. That's a good one.
Yeah. And you know, the blogs, again, we bang on about blogs all the time. They are the opportunity for you to show your personality to your prospective customers. And yeah, you're giving them value, you're giving them information, but you're also like showing who you are through your writing. So don't be afraid to use your personality in it, I think.
I think that's a good crossover from in-person shops as well, because how often have you bought because the salesperson was just lovely?
Yes.
Or was really convincing, or so if you want a kind of equivalent to equivalent, like that's a good way to use it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, coming back to things like your videos, your social media, these are really, really important aspects that are going to help, because, you know, somebody's going to, they might come to your website first, then they're going to check out, or you're on Facebook, or you're on Insta, or you can I connect with you on LinkedIn, depending on the kind of service you've got. So, you know, these are the things that are really important to have in place. Have your social media all set up, even if you're not, like, I mean, obviously it's going to do you a power of good to post and engage people and build a community on social media. But even if you don't do that, just having the presence that you're there, make sure you do have a few posts on each thing that you've got there, because otherwise it can't, if you don't have anything and you don't have a profile picture, and it's, you know, it can look a bit dodgy as well, can't it? I think that's...
Yeah, I think the more content that's on it, the more real it looks, and you can get all those things on your social medias as well, like your reviews and all that are all available to be, like, you can do Facebook reviews and LinkedIn reviews, and I don't think Instagram do reviews, but it's just like you can get reviewed on your products on there as well, so it's just extra proof of who you are.
Yeah, and that's, again, there is nothing, if you take it back to your it's like going back to your real life shop office based thing. It's more opportunity for you to show that you can do the job, that you're a nice person to work with, that, you know, it's just all these things that you would expect if you were to meet somebody in person. You have to work a little bit harder online to show that, because you're not physically present, and you don't have all the verbal and body language. Not the verbal. Yeah, verbal. That's right, isn't it? Cause, unless you do videos. Yes, do videos though. Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't point. That's rude, isn't it?
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think all these things are going to take your person through to, hopefully, considering the purchase phase of the journey, and that's something to really consider. And people do often consider a little bit about the purchase phase. If they have an online shop, they'll consider what it looks like, and but they'll not necessarily consider what it feels like to be the person buying it and go through the flow of the buying process. And there are some areas of that are quite often sticky areas, and, you know, things like, so if you're selling a physical product, for example, and it has to be shipped somewhere, shipping is always something that people, because in real life, you pick the thing up, you take it to the post office, and you just send it off, or the person comes into the shop, they pick it up and they carry it away, or, you know, they say, can this be delivered? And you say, oh, well, local, yeah, we've got a van that goes round. But it's not like that online. And so people think, well, you know, how do I work that out? How does it know? What if I have a big thing and a small thing? How do I charge different shipping for that? And if you're in the Isle of Mull, that's harder to get to than, you know, Glasgow city centre or London or whatever. So there's a lot of considerations around shipping, but I think what I always encourage people to do is to really keep it simple. Even if you have to absorb some of the shipping into the cost of the product or service. I don't know, you can't ship a service, can you? I don't know. I'm posting your massage therapist right now. That's probably not going to work. Yeah. Anyway, but you know, just to keep it really simple and where possible, offer free shipping, because people love free shipping. People don't mind paying a little bit more for their item, but they hate paying more for shipping because it feels like you don't get anything for shipping. You know, it's nothing. Yeah.
Totally true. Because if you imagine like going and getting, I don't know, whatever it is, say I'm going to get a jumper, and then I go, okay, so the jumper's 30 quid, and I go, okay, happy days. Then I get to shipping, and the shipping's 20 quid.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
It's not gonna work.
But say my jumper was 50 quid and I had free shipping, I'd be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that mind shift, isn't it? It's incredible. We just love free shipping because we don't value it. It's what you value. But if we really like a jumper, we value that and we're going to pay whatever it costs, you know. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The other thing following on from well, I suppose the other thing booking, we haven't really looked at booking. So if you have so for example webinars, or you that's part of your services that you sell, again, a booking system needs to be quite straightforward, as easy as possible, and also keep the person informed the whole way through. I think people, I love to talk about, there's a guy who works for, oh gosh, what's his name, something Sutherland, Rory Sutherland, and he talks about, he's done a lot of studies on how people hate uncertainty. So if you tell them a train's going to be late, they get really anxious about that. If you tell them the train's going to be 10 minutes late, they can cope with that. They think, all right, okay, I'll go and get a coffee and I'll come back in 10 minutes, because, you know, that's so the whole thing about communication and removing uncertainty from the journey, and particularly at this stage, at the purchase stage, will make your customers much more happy.
Absolutely. I think that's the case all the way through the website, though. In fact, it's like from the first moment they get there until that point of purchase and beyond, it's about as much making it as easy for them as possible, right? You want to make it as and so going through that process yourself and going, okay, I'm a customer stepping on this site. Now what do I do? Okay, it's directing me to click here if I want to move forward to another page, and okay, and this is what, you know, and it's telling me. Then I feel more comfortable because it's explained it, and I've not gone around trying to find things, because there's nothing worse than when you're like looking through and going, oh, I just want to, I don't know, find something and I can't find it, and I don't know how to buy it, and I don't know how to do this, and then you just leave. You don't go through with it.
Exactly.
Here, so making things as easy as possible and explained as possible throughout the whole site, through that journey, is super important.
Yeah, because if you don't do it well, somebody else will, and they'll go there. People will go there. Yeah. So I think once your after sales is just as important as that whole sales process, and just helping people with their purchase, helping them to get the most out of their purchase, and you can do that in lots of different ways. I mean, having a knowledge base about your products or services is a really great way, particularly even if people can access that prior to purchase, because then they can learn more about it before they really commit to it. But definitely once they've purchased, having that information, or as much information that will help them with your product or service after purchase, is really important.
explain what's a knowledge base?
Oh, right, yes. So so you might have come across these, usually if you're trying to get service, like from your electricity company or something, and then you say, I want help, and then they say, yeah, you're not speaking to real persons. You have to search for what's wrong first, and then you find it. I'm not an advocate of that particular process, but the knowledge base is the where you can search for answers to questions that are specific to that service or product. So people will be able to type in and find the answer, or there will be topics with subtopics that they can browse down them. That's another way to use the knowledge base. So I think that's a really, because it can also, if people find the answers, because many people don't really want to speak to a person, a lot of people do, but many don't, and they are very happy to go rooting through the knowledge base or search the knowledge base to find an answer, and that's going to cut down your post-sales inquiries, or even maybe your pre-sales inquiries as well. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things about, having some form of follow-up with your customers is a really good business. Like, so set a few days or a day afterwards, or some short time after they've made a purchase, send them an email and say, hey, hope you're enjoying your purchase. How are you getting on? If you've got any problems, get in touch with us. Make it clear that you want to be available, you want to serve them, you want to help them. I think that's really important. And yeah, if you're big enough to have a help desk, that's fantastic. But you can actually set up digital help desks and chat bots to help you, even if you're just a very small or one person organization. There are things out there that help you manage the process of people contacting you after sales. And also, again, go back to social media. People, make yourself available if you can, if that's something that you want to do through social media, and say, hey, tell me about your product. And that has a certain amount of transparency about how you interact with people post purchase. Now, I'm not saying that that's easy, because sometimes that can be quite difficult, particularly because sometimes people behind a keyboard are not necessarily always going to be the best behaved that they could be, and they need a lot of diplomacy and understanding, and really you just have to leave defensive behavior behind and just put on your big boy and girl pants and just answer people, be transparent, be kind, be courteous, and just provide good service in social media the way you would any other way if they were standing in front of you in your shop. And just be aware that you have to behave even better than your customers might, which is always true, really, anyway, isn't it?
I think so. I think that's really important. Like, quite often, like you say, like people are a little bit more free of speech online, and I think as businesses, we forget that how we would act if we were in the shop, and we quite often will just bite back and be like, oh well, and I think that it's a really good exercise to put yourself as, imagine being at customer services in Tesco, and someone comes up to you and says, this is my issue, and how you would deal with that. And that's how you should deal with it online. It should be the same thing. There shouldn't be a difference. So yeah, of course you shouldn't take abuse, but you should treat them with more customer service than you would. And I think it's really good that throughout that whole process of the after chat and the emails and the social media, it's the perfect time to ask for reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. Yeah. And online you can do even better, because there are some programs out there that you can actually get to put in. So when you send out your follow-up email, you can put this program in and just say, put at the bottom, how did we do in a scale of 1 to 5 or whatever, and whatever they pick, you know, so all the people that pick number 5, if that's the highest, you're then you go right back to them and say, hey, I'm glad you enjoyed it. How would you like to give us a review? The people that say number 1 or 2 or whatever, well, you're going to contact them and sort out whatever's, you know, you're like, wow, because you never want that, do you? So
Yeah,
you're certainly at that point not going to ask them for a review, probably. Sort out their issue first, then go back to them, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, you can automate that process as well. There are programs out there. They're not particularly cheap. I think they're subscription model ones, and you have to pay a subscription every month, but you can automate that process. So I definitely think it's a great thing to consider, you know, down the line. Do it manually first of all, but consider automating that as you go. So yeah. So yeah, I think those are some great things. So the loyalty, so loyalty is, well, the easiest way, it's much easier to resell to your existing customers than it is to get brand new customers. Much cheaper in terms of effort and time and actual money. So you're wanting to build that whole idea of loyalty within your customers. And what does that look like online? Well, you can offer things like loyalty programs and emails we've talked about again. You can, I don't know, you could offer like discounts, you can offer incentives to buy again from you. There's lots of different ways. Any that you can think of.
I think that's right, and I think, well, so obviously my background's in looking after a loyalty program, and but within the cruise industry, and I think it's what I found really important for our clients, our customers coming back, was that they felt valued and important. So it was the biggest thing, that they felt known, and so calling them by their name as if you know them, and just really getting to know the client was really important. And also giving them a little bit of status. So if you have a loyalty program or a membership, in the sense of you've bought 5 things from us, you are now a gold customer, then they go, I'm a gold customer with Buttered Toast or whatever, you know, and having a little bit of status within that really does boost, because the biggest advertising you will ever get is from your loyal customer base.
Yeah. And on the back of that, I think, I know a lot of these loyalty things can be automated, but I actually think that there are some things that shouldn't be. And particularly when you're starting out as a smaller business, find out something personal about the persons you're doing business with, something about them, you know, so and so likes Thai curries, so and so has 3 dogs, so that when you send, you can you know, tweak some emails and just say, you know, send them an email every now and again and just say, hey, how are the dogs doing? And you know, or I've heard there's a new Thai restaurant opening in your, and you don't have to do this with every single customer. If you've got too many, obviously you can't do that. But you can say, right, I'm going to do 5 or 10 customers a week, and I'm just going to pinpoint them, and I'm just going to have a personal email to them saying, how are you doing? How's the dogs? How's the kids? How's the auntie? You know, and have that little bit of personal interaction, because that makes people feel really special, doesn't it? It's like the name thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Taking that just to the next level.
Yeah, it's true. And I think under that comes the idea of freebies, doesn't it? So, for example, for ourselves, we did at Easter, we gave out some mugs and some chocolate eggs to our clients at Easter. And I think a lot of the thoughts behind that was, although we sent like a card out at Christmas, there's a lot of big companies that send out stuff at Christmas, and so we wanted to stand out somewhere a little bit different. So we sent out Easter, and we got some really good response from our clients. They really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's something they'll use, and I think trying to send them something that's from us, that is branded by us, but is also something they can use, is not just hat. You know.
Yeah. And it does make them feel special, and it does remind them that we exist, so they're really in the top of their brain if they're talking to a pal. And this kind of moves into the next one, the advocacy stuff. And you want your loyal customers to be your biggest evangelists. You want them to be your salespeople effectively, and I think that's what happened with us at Easter was, we had a number of people who made social media posts showing our stuff, thanking us, videos made showing us, thanking us, and it was just really nice to get that feedback. And it was just nice that they appreciated that we'd thought of them, because we did think of them, and it came from a really, the other thing is, when you're doing these loyalty things, they have to come from a genuine place, don't they? Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, we're just slamming all our people with these things. It's like, and we really do, as a team, we really think about stuff like that, don't we? It's like,
we've got so many ideas that come out of
yes.
different and I feel good about it. After that, we were like, what else could we do? And then you have to throw yourself back, because you can't be giving them everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'd have no money left.
Absolutely. But all our clients would be branded head to toe in butter toast.
They would, yeah. But I mean, the thing is that from that, we got recommendations, we got sharing in social media, we had massive engagement in our social media, didn't we? And just really, I think, I don't know, did we get some reviews? I think we probably did just get reviews as well. But if you haven't got reviews, I mean, I'm trying to connect those together, but I think reviews are, just get reviews. Is, again, we've said it about 3 times in this wee chat, but reviews are really important. Get them on your Google My Business, get them on your socials, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, they don't do that. Yeah, no.
Anywhere you can.
Anywhere you can, on their website with links to yours.
Great thing.
In their blogs, in their podcasts, everywhere. Yeah, a friend sent me a link to a podcast she'd been speaking in, and she said, oh, can you just listen through this, because I'm not sure how I came across. And halfway through it, she'd done a great big shout out to us, and I just thought, oh, that's so lovely. And then she was, really kind enough to then make me listen to it, so that I heard it as well as lots of this person's listeners would have heard it as well. So it was so nice. So these are the things that, if you're encouraging and you think about that whole journey, then that's what you end up with, and that's the goal, isn't it? So that you have to do less at the beginning of raising the awareness, and less of the paid advertising stuff, that because your customers are doing all that at the end of the journey for you.
Absolutely agree. And I think it's important that, especially if you've not got many clients coming through, not to forget the end of the journey. Don't just don't go straight from purchase back to awareness, because then you're missing out on a large portion of what could be future sales, and the customers that you've got are just not leaving you as happy and having had the best experience that they could. And if you can if everyone who the dream world is everyone who interacts with your business is that they leave having had the best experience ever. So do what you can to try and make that happen.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about our longest standing customer, and I think they came to us in 2004. I think it was, so that's a long time with the same tracking the same customer, and we've as businesses, them and us, we've grown up together in a sense, which is really lovely, and that's one of the things we love to do with our clients, is to journey with them and grow with them, as well. So definitely it's definitely important to think about the journey and what that looks like in terms of your online presence. And
cool. Sorry, there was an ambulance outside that was b-boying.
So I shouldn't really be laughing. It's not funny, is it? But yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Cool. I think that's a really good overview of the journey from not knowing you to being an advocate for you, and how what practical steps people can take to do that. I think that's great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for chatting, Susan.
Speak to you next time.